I want to say before I begin this story that I had a wonderful father. And that has nothing to do with the two stories I'm telling tonight. I didn't even realize that my two stories had this in common. My dad was great. Long ago, when Greece was the center of the world, before Troy fell, when Zeus still reigned from Mount Olympus, the king of Thessaly was Erysichthon. Erysichthon looked out over his lands. He saw how the crops grew, how his people were full and fat and happy, and he said, I am a great king. Look what I have done. He was walking through his lands one day, and he came to a sacred grove, eine heilige Heim. And he saw, that wasn't mine, was it? Okay, good. He came to this heilige Heim, and he saw a tree that was taller, bigger, more beautiful than all the rest. And it had ribbons tied all around it. What is this tree? Oh, Your Majesty, this is the goddess Demeter's tree. We tie the ribbons on it to say thank you for our crops. Thank you for everything she's done for us. Thank you for the food on our table. Gods, Demeter. If you want to thank somebody for the food on your table, thank your king. Everything good that you get in this country comes from me. The food on your table, the food on your table, I will show you. I will make a table from this tree. You can't do that. This is Demeter's tree. This is my tree. I am the king. And he picked up an axe that was lying nearby, and he started to chop, whack, whack at the tree. One of his servants grabbed the king's arm. No, you mustn't. Your loyalty is to this tree, to some god, and not to your king? Here's your reward. And Erysichthon took that axe and chopped off his servant's head. And then he turned back to the tree. Whack, whack. Nobody tried to stop him after that. And the tree shuddered and groaned and bled. It bled red blood, and the leaves turned white. And a voice came from deep within the tree spirit, the dryad. Under the wood of this tree lies Demeter's most beloved dryad, and I say to you now, as I die, surely punishment will flow with my blood. And with one last chop, the tree fell, and the dryad died. When Demeter heard of the desecration, die Entweihung, of her tree and the death of her dryad, the murder of her dryad, she was furious. If Erysichthon wants no gods, he shall have no gods. His soul is empty. Let his belly be empty too. Send a message to the goddess Limas. Limas hungers not. Limas left her empty, barren, dry lands and traveled to Thessaly. And at night she went into Erysichthon's palace, and she sunk into Erysichthon as he slept. She breathed into Erysichthon's belly and chest, into his throat and mouth. And then she left. Erysichthon began to chew and swallow on the dreams he dreamt. And when he woke up, he was starving. "Where's my breakfast?" And they brought him dense, thick, heavy barley bread, dripping with honey, covered in the soft white Greek cheese, big, juicy red grapes, big chunks of charred lamb, and he gobbled it down. And he was still hungry. "More!" So they brought him more, and he wolfed it down. He ate more and more and more all day long, and he was still empty. And in the days that followed, he kept eating, and it was never enough. What would feed a city, what would fill a nation, left him empty. He sold everything he had for food, everything except the table made from Demeter's tree and his daughter, Mestra. She was young and she was beautiful. So he sold Mestra also. There's only one reason anybody would buy a beautiful young girl. You know that. So he sold Mestra and he bought food. Mestra was following her new owner home, to her new home. She cried out to the gods, "Help me, save me." And they did. They gave her the ability to change her shape. And so she turned herself into an old fisherman. And she went home, leaving her new owner to look for the beautiful young girl. She went home. Where else could she go? Mestra deserved a better father. Because Erysichthon, when he discovered that she could change her shape, Mestra, daughter, I'm going to sell you again. And you change your shape into a bird, a horse, a cow, and then come home again. And I will sell you again. And so I can make money and buy food. He was always hungry. He was always empty. The ache inside never left. Mestra looked at her father and she felt pity. She felt sorry for him. And so she agreed. He sold her over and over, and she came back and came back. And even then, it was never enough to fill him up. He couldn't get enough food. In the end, there was nothing left. There was no food left in the palace, in the city. Mestra had to leave to get food for herself. He's sitting at his table. There's not a crumb left on Demeter's table. There's just Erysichthon. No bread, no fruit, no meat. And he looks at his hand and his arm, and all he sees is meat. And so he starts to eat, starting with his fingers and his arm, and he eats, and he eats, and he eats, until there's nothing left of him at all. Erysichthon.